Okay, I'm at 3412 Golden Avenue in Cincinnati, Ohio. This is in like Columbia, Tusculum, down, but near downtown Cincinnati. We're doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. We're looking for any structural issues, root intrusion, anything that may be of concern to the buyer. Just want to show, I don't know, looks a little damp around here. I'm not sure if that looks like it's probably coming from the foundation. Obviously this is over 100 years old, so there are spots around that kind of show it getting in there, so it's not, just wanted to kind of show that. The line should be clay, which it is. You can see it's cast iron above ground, and then as soon as it goes down through the floor it turns into clay. And so it should be, based off the age of the house, it should be clay all the way out to the street. Clay is a good material. It's a little brittle, but as long as the earth doesn't move a whole lot, you're in good shape. And so normally what we find, one of the most common things we find with clay is some root intrusion. Luckily there aren't a whole lot of trees, at least in the front there. Okay, now this is a weird one. This looks like this is a pipe coming in. So it's kind of broke off the side, but that is where a pipe is coming in, a connection that had gone through the pipe, and it's probably a downspout. It's up towards the front of the house. So even though it looks like it is broken, that is just where a line comes in, where somebody probably maybe had it cleaned or something, and it's just where it's sticking through the pipe. I was trying to get a better angle on it so you could see it better. Because there's one coming in from the left, and also one coming in from the right at the same point. So those are downspouts, I believe, coming in. Be the only thing I could see that would be up there at that point. We have a little tiny bit of root intrusion, very minimal. You can, you can see it kind of moving between connections. And they do look old. They look kind of white, and maybe they're not active, or it could be that it's very old or very shallow. It could be from a bush or something, but it looks like when you start seeing roots like this that look like they're kind of packed full of stuff, they may be from an old tree. They still grow a little bit after the fact, but okay. So yeah, you do have some root intrusion. This is pretty normal for clay pipe, but I'm going to recommend that you get a cleaning done, and possibly treat. You're going to need some maintenance also. Probably treatment with like a root X or something like that. A chemical treatment would be a good idea. Once a year, maybe a little longer, and then possibly a reinspection after, say, 3 to 5 years, just to check to kind of see the status of the root growth and see how fast it's growing, and that'll give you an idea of how often to do any maintenance if needed. Again, I'm not real sure where all the roots are coming from. I didn't see any large trees, but there could have been. We're going from clay into SDR35, which is a PVC, so it usually means we are off the property and getting close to the sewer main in the street. And if you look in the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see the pitch of the camera. It's about 30 degrees. And so we are dropping straight down into that main, getting deep in a hurry. We should be coming right in the top of the pipe here. Oh. main. And so I'm going to try to rinse the camera off here a little bit so that it's not as hazy. Once we push past those roots, had a little bit of greasy haze on the front of the camera there, so hopefully we can get rid of that. But you can see there we are looking straight down into the main with some water dripping off of the lens there. So there we go. So we'll take another look on the way back. But you pretty much have roots for the majority of the length of the pipe. None of them are really heavy, but it is enough to where they could be in the flow line at some point. And you don't want to let them go for very long. So there are a couple options. You could you may be able to have this cleaned, but due to the access, it's probably not going to have the ability to actually get all those little roots out. So probably what I would do is just do some chemical treatment like I mentioned earlier. With, like I said, the brand name Rudex is kind of like Kleenex to tissue. But it tends to work. And I'm going to actually turn some water on in the stationary tub, but we can also see where that ties in, and we'll be able to see, rinse the camera off also. So we'll give that a second, let that run on down the line. But yeah, doing some Rudex should keep these roots at bay. I mean, it's not uncommon, like I mentioned earlier, on 100-year-old clay pipe to find some root intrusion. It's you know, the pipe sections are only about 3 feet in length, and so there's just a lot of connections. And over 100 years, the packing they use between those breaks down a little bit and starts letting in some little bit of roots. And as long as you keep them at bay, they won't cause any issues. It would take a pretty good while for what you have here to grow into something that's filling the pipe. And so I would start with just like yearly treatments of the Rudex, because you can see them, and they're all getting in at the connections. I don't see any structural issues with the line. But you want to make sure that you do stay on top of the maintenance so that you don't have any, you know, major this we are probably still off the property. And you can see there the roots getting in right at the connections. Try to do this to keep them. You can see how clear the camera could be, but like this is probably, you know, where you have it really close to the flow line where the water's going right through the center of it. Those are the ones you know that are going to be the most worrisome as far as being able to grow enough and catch stuff like this. And so I'm actually going to push back out for a minute. I'm going to say from about, so basically you have root intrusion from about 38 feet back. I just wanted to kind of get a note of the footage there. The worst being, it seemed like, yeah, they're all getting in at these joints here. And then So here is the very front of the house, and you can see on the left, that's where the water's coming in. It's kind of hard to see. I'm used to looking at this, but you can see the water coming across here. So that connection is on the left, and you won't see any water behind it. That's where it's coming in. And then on the right, there's another connection that I think it's just an added line for, you can tell by the way it's poked through. That it was added after the fact, the way it runs out into it. And there is a patched spot in the front. That could have been an old line at some point is what it looks like. But there is a patched spot in the concrete. So that connection is no longer used right there. It could have been an old downspout that came through the wall and went in. There's a variety of things there, but there's a cap spot. But just so you know that that is not active, and the spot that's broke off is just the line that had poked through into the regular line. But overall, structurally, the line looks good, especially for, a 100-year-old sewer line. You just have some root intrusion, which is pretty common. Mainly between about 20 feet and 38 feet, which is obviously a majority of the line, is where the root intrusion is. And so I'm going to recommend, a chemical treatment about once a year. And then maybe a reinspection after a few years to just check the root growth and see if it's still active, and or get yourself a good maintenance schedule. The chemicals are not very expensive. Last time I think they were like $35 to get a treatment, and there are directions on the side, but a lot of times, because of how minor the roots are, trying to clean those out with the mechanical thing or even a jetter, I think a jetter would work, but it would be pretty hefty expense for something that most likely you could just maintenance with a chemical. So to sum up, the line looks great, just needs a little bit of maintenance for the roots in the future, and everything should continue to function as designed. So that'll end the inspection at 3412 Golden Avenue in Cincinnati, Ohio.